Hello, my name is Beth Azor, and I own a few shopping centers. Welcome to my podcast, I Own a Shopping Center, Now What? So today I want to talk about TI, or Tenant Improvement Dollars. Sometimes it's called TIA, Tenant Improvement Allowance, but basically it is the landlord's contribution to incentivizing a tenant to open a store in a landlord's vacancy. So I like to say I'm allergic to TI. Now, have I given TI? Of course. A lot of the times it has to do with what kind of vacancy I have at the time and what my exit strategy is for the property. If I was like a lot of developers who build to flip, then they might give more TI because their goal is to get as much rent as possible, get the deals done faster, and then flip the deal. So if your exit strategy is not to flip it, you might not want to give as much TI. It doesn't incentivize us that much to over TI a tenant because you're not flipping it in a quick hurry. So if a tenant comes to me and they say, how much TI are you going to give me? My first question back to them is, how much is it going to cost for you to open? And that's also definitely for locals, independents, mom and pops. On the application that I hand out, one of the questions is cost to open. Because if they say it's going to cost them $300,000 to open and they only have $100,000, that's a problem, right? But a lot of times, right on the first call, they're asking us or our leasing agents, how much TI are you going to give me? So my answer is, it depends on what you're going to do in the space. It depends on how much investment you're making. I'm certainly not going to invest more than you are. So if I do give TI, let's say it costs someone $100,000 to open their doors, I'm not going to give more than 50. So if they're looking for me to turnkey their deal, I'm probably not the landlord for them. I have had experiences in my past life where I worked with a company where we did third-party services, and many of the times when we were brought in to take over leasing, because vacancies were high, many times it was because the developer, her prior landlord or owner, gave full TI packages, turnkey, not a long-term guarantee where the guarantee burned off, and a bunch of free rent. So when the free rent burned off and the tenant had to start paying the rent and they had no investment in their space and no guarantee, what do you think happened? I took over a property where 100,000 square feet of tenants all left at the same time because the property was developed a year prior, and the developer gave a year free rent, fully built out all of the tenants, and the 1 year guarantees burned off. What did they think was going to happen? So I want to know how much money are they going to put in? So let's say they put in 50. I may put in 50, but it depends on their credit. It depends on the guarantee. It depends on what they're using the money for. I don't want to give TI that would be used for merchandise. So when they say it costs $100,000 to open, and that includes a hood and a grease trap, I'm probably better with that than I would be if they're saying they're going to paint and carpet and buy fixtures. I'm not going to be interested in investing in that. If I do give TI, I certainly want to guarantee significant enough that if and when they crap out during construction, I have a large enough guarantee to go after them to help me put my place back together. For example, I sign a lease, they say they're going to do $200,000 of, let's say it's a restaurant and they're going to do $200,000. They go demo what was there before. Maybe they have dug the trenches for plumbing and they run out of money and now I have a messed up space. Hopefully I have a full guarantee for the term of the lease, and then I can go after them, and hopefully they have a financial wherewithal that I can go after them so that I can get 50 grand or whatever it's going to be to help put the place back in its original condition, and I'm not left holding the bag, or I finished the job. When I do give TI, I give it in this manner. After they open for business, after I receive a certificate of occupancy, and after I have received rent. So I don't give TI in draws while the project is ongoing. I'm not their partner. I don't want to fund the construction. Now, when I say all of these things, I will make a note that if I had a property that was 15% occupied, I may be a little more lenient with some of these things. For example, let's say I had a shopping center that had a lot of vacancy and I had a 4 location wings joint and each one was doing $1 million in business. And let's say the guy has $500,000 in the bank, but that's not a lot when you're running 4 locations. And I think he would do great for our property, and he'll sign a personal guarantee, not a corporate guarantee, not a guarantee with a shell, wings joint of my shopping center Inc. It's actually a full guarantee. And then after he opens for business, and maybe while he's under construction, I might be giving a draw because, again, my vacancies are so high and I think he's going to help jumpstart maybe the food court area or, bring in more restaurants. I might give him money during, but I definitely would have some sort of security to secure the TI that I'm giving him. And then what I might do, I've done this with salon suites where they ask for $80 a square foot in TI. I give 20, which is significantly low with that use. Typically, they spend a lot of money because they're building out those suites with individual plumbing and electrical. But I've given up to, I think, 20. And then after they open and they've spent the 600 grand or 800 grand that they said that they were going to spend, and I see evidence of that, I may reduce their guarantee to a floating guarantee, because in actuality, that 600 grand they just spent on my space is their guarantee. So again, while they're under construction, before they've delivered all of that investment that they told me at the outset they were going to do, because a lot of tenants have, grandiose plans, but sometimes they run out of money mid-construction. So you need to be firm in the beginning with having a good, strong guarantee or a co-signer. If they don't have the cash, maybe they have someone that can co-sign for them to guarantee it. But then after they've done what they said they're going to do, and they've improved your premises, and they've opened for business and started paying rent, then I have decreased the guarantee. Usually I don't do anything less than a 1-year floating, meaning at any time, if they crap out during the lease term, they would owe me a 1 year's rent. Now, do I always collect that? I don't, but having a guarantee is the difference between living together and being married. If there's no guarantee, there's many times no discussion. Your neighbor calls you and says, so-and-so moved out last night, or your maintenance guy calls you, this tenant moved out. When they have a 1-year guarantee, a floating, that they owe you 1 year's rent at any time during the term if they leave, you get the phone call, and then it's a negotiation. So those are my thoughts on TI. If my property was 98% occupied and it wasn't a tenant, I just was, wasn't Apple, you have to give them like $5 million. But if it wasn't some rock star tenant and my property, I was down to my last vacancy, I probably would only do an as is, where is deal, no TI. Regarding rent abatement, so some people say, well, we don't give TI, but we give rent abatement. So I'm okay with that as long as the rent abatement is half base only. So I never give full free rent because I don't want the tenant to get into the habit of not paying anything once they're open, because it's a bad habit. So if they get, let's say you give someone 3 months free. So they're, pushing the cash register for 3 months, and then oops, month 4, now they got to write you a check, and they haven't been in the habit of doing that. It's shocking. So what I do is I'll do half base rent plus full CAM. Or maybe I'll do, if I have a lot of vacancy, I might do CAM only for 2 months, and then 25 of base rent, and then 50 of base rent. Maybe I'll do that over an 8-month or 1 year period, ratcheting up if, again, I have a lot of vacancy. If I don't have a lot of vacancy, I'm definitely allergic to TI, and probably I'm not giving any rent abatement. Now, construction time, I don't consider rent abatement. So if someone takes my space and now they want to build out a restaurant, it could take in my municipality 4 to 6 months to get a permit. Now, I don't like to give rent commencement based on getting a permit because I find that then they lollygag while getting the permit. So if I say to them, they say, how much time you're going to give me to get open? And my question is, well, how much time is it going to take you? And when they say 3 months, I know that they don't know what they're doing, and I might end the discussion depending on my vacancy and my occupancy. But if they say, well, we think it's going to be 4 to 6 months to get a permit, a month or 2 to do our plans, that's 8 months, and then 4 months to do the construction. Okay, 12 months. So then I'll say, okay, I'll give you the 12 months, but 365 days from you signing the lease, your rent starts, whether you're open or not. Sometimes we'll do the earlier of 365, or when you open for business. I do that a lot too. That way, if for some reason there's a miracle and they get a permit in 3 months, and they're very diligent and they do their plans in a month, then they do construction in 3 months and they open in 9 months, then I start getting rent sooner. So those are my thoughts about TI, allergic, rent abatement, and some intel on guarantees and my thoughts on guarantees. I hope this helped. If you like the podcast, subscribe and tell your friends. And I'll see you on the next Iona Shopping Center Now What?